The governor of Connecticut represents the entire state, yet all of you candidates here this evening live west of the Connecticut River. As you campaign throughout the 2nd District, what critical issues have you discovered that are unique to this part of the state, and how will you make sure Eastern Connecticut is not forgotten in your administration?
Well, one of the things I'm most proud of in my 2010 race is that I won the 2nd CD by 7 points. That's I only won my own district, the 4th, by 1 point. I'm very grateful for that support. I spent a lot of time out here. I met a lot of the people out here in this part of the state, which I think is a great part of the state with beautiful natural assets and wonderful towns and cities. So it is true that a good leader, a governor needs to be a good leader. Once they're elected, they understand that they represent everybody equally and fairly. And so I will, as governor, continue to spend as much time in the 2nd Congressional District as I have during the campaign of 2010 and so far in this campaign. And I look forward to serving the people here. I know that every part of the state has unique problems. I think I have a sense for the unique problems that face the 2nd CD, and I look forward to working with the local leaders to address those problems from the State House when we're able and when it's appropriate.
Thank you. Mr. Loretti.
Well, as we all know, the state of Connecticut is very diverse in terms of its type of employment, the characteristics of where towns reside, our natural resources, etc. I think that Shelton really represents most of what the state of Connecticut looks like in those regards. The thing that I think is important to all of us is the cost of living. And so the next governor really has to maintain and try in some respects to reduce the cost of living so that everyone becomes a beneficiary of that. That was a single purpose that helps all of us. Secondly, I think that it's important for a leadership to understand where the economic engines are in the state and make sure that ensure that those economic engines are provided for, because Lower Fairfield County does pay the freight for most of what happens throughout the state of Connecticut. So that has to be protected. And thirdly, I've been an open space advocate. And in our city, we've bought over 2,000 acres of open space in the last 23 years, most of which is all paid for. When you do that, you protect the environment for future generations of people, particularly in this part of the state, to enjoy in perpetuity. So I think the quality of life issues are first and foremost. Cost of living and doing business in the state of Connecticut has to change. That benefits everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Visconti.
I was born in Hartford but moved to Tallinn, Connecticut when I was 6 months old. My family brought us out there, and I went to school until I was in 4th grade in Tallinn. So I'm familiar with the east of the river. Keep my boat in Stonington. I go there every summer. I think first thing we want to do is finish Route 11. What's up with that? Why do we have to take the back roads every time we want to go down to Waterford? Another thing is Sprague is a town that's suffering immensely for foreclosures. The east of the river towns are disproportionately being affected by foreclosures. When I was in Scotland a few weeks ago to give a presentation to be a candidate, first selectman spoke to me about the ECS formula and money that are not coming to Scotland and towns east of the river, disproportionately because of the tax base as well as foreclosures. So the state of Connecticut needs to step up in the 2nd District with helping with thate 2 issues. It's disproportionate for ECS school funding. They need help over here, and they also need infrastructure.
Thank you. Ms. Dean.
Yes, well, I'm from a small town that's very similar to the towns of Eastern Connecticut. I'm from Norwich, Vermont, a town of 1,500 people. And I grew up in a part of the country that's very similar in terms of small town government, form of government. So the values of the freedom and the Second Amendment and hunting and owning your own business and not having the government micromanage everything that you do in your business and in your personal life, being able to use your property in the way that you see fit. All of those values are just part of who I am. So when I have to explain to people in Connecticut what it means to be free, what it means to have freedom, I just was stunned when I first had to explain that, because I grew up in freedom, where my parents let us go out. My father taught engineering at Dartmouth. But I bought my own horse at the age of 11, earning the money from age 6. And when I went off at the beginning of the day into the dirt roads, my parents didn't see me until the end of the day, and they never asked where I went. That's just how it is when you live in freedom. And I own my own business. I started my own business at the age of 35, a law firm. And people said, "Aren't you afraid, Martha?" And I said, "No, I probably should be, but I'm not," because I grew up in a family that starts their own businesses. We need to allow people to have businesses in their homes, home baking businesses. We need to allow farmers to survive. We need to allow dairy farmers to survive. All of those agricultural businesses and home occupations are very important to the state, and I support them, and I support the rights of our veterans and would fight hard for them as well.
Thank you very much. Mr. Boughton.
Well, is there a real estate agent in the house? Because this is like heaven on earth out here. It's great to be here. And I love being east of the river, and I just want to thank all of you for coming out and sharing us this wonderful question. Folks, I'm running with Heather Summers, former mayor of Groton, for a reason. And the reason is because she is an advocate for the 2nd Congressional District. She lived her whole life. She understands the challenges that everybody faces out here. And she's been an entrepreneur, an elected official, and completely gets the things that have to be done out here. And when I look at some of the issues that face directly this district, both Heather and I agree that tourism is one of your #1 economic drivers, and I think the state of Connecticut has dropped the ball as it relates to tourism. When I'm out talking to people throughout these wonderful towns, I hear a lot about economic development or the lack of economic development here in the 2nd District. And of course, we have a number of transportation issues that have to be addressed. But look, you're going to have a great advocate close to the governor's office that'll be able every day to share with thoughts and concerns that you might have through Heather. So it's an honor to be working with her. And let me just say quickly, some of our biggest towns, our biggest cities in this area are struggling as well. Look at New London's finances. What an absolute disaster right now. And that really comes out of poor planning and certainly out of not really recognizing what the challenges are you have in the future. As your next governor, I'll work with cities like New London to set them back on financial footing and to help them develop their economy.
Issues during my tenure in the state senate, which I've tried to work on with the people of Eastern Connecticut. Joe Visconti mentioned Route 11. There are people who want to finish Route 11 with tolls. I've opposed that. Why should the people of that area have to have tolls and pay for tolls when no one else is having to pay for tolls to finish their roads? That's not fair, and that won't be right. We need to finish the road, but not have the citizens pay for it when no one else is being asked to do the same. We need to worry about the impact of the casinos and what that has done for the host towns, and I've worked on issues related to that. This past year, I was the one who fought Governor Malloy on reducing state trooper levels. He won, the Democrats caved, but many of you in Eastern Connecticut know that without a police force, you rely on that resident state trooper. And I will reverse the policies of the Malloy administration and make sure that we have a full complement of state police officers and that the trooper barracks are reopened and staffed as they should be for your safety. We also need to make sure that the state of Connecticut is prepared to protect electric vote should there be any further discussions of base realignments by the federal government.
Thank you.